Well, I'll have a good year then for. Yeah, I did see some buzz on Facebook about it. You're not paying attention. I've heard plenty about it. Very. People are funny. Oh, I know. Seriously. Seriously, it's the same in every small town. Sure. Oh, yeah.
And it's oh yeah, that's not your regular card. But that people in there, yeah. Trains that come up with like, that's really common. Oh, so we don't have. Okay. Because the Indians never identified Shoreline. They would play going back and forth zigzags.
I like the four one better, but it's
And 7 o'clock, I like call me in order, we'll start with second play.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start out with public comment. We got some new faces, so if you're gonna speak, give us your name. We try to keep it about 3 minutes. Tim?
Yeah, Tim Dorsch, Crystal Lake Association. Just for the record, the state canceled the goose roundup again for this year. So the egg destruction program is still viable, and to whatever extent the association can participate in that, we will. But the actual roundup, pontoons pushing the geese into a little area and then a contractor taking them out, won't happen this year. It didn't happen last year, so there's two.
Is it because of the bird flu, is it, or?
Bird flu, that's what the state has said.
Thanks,
It's
Tim.
avian bird flu.
Anybody else? If not, we'll move on. I need a motion to approve the agenda and accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Sarah to accept it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Before we do the consent agenda, I'd like to move, under new business, I'd like to move the park project up so he can get out of here if you don't want to stick around, and I'm gonna move Mark Saban up too, in the compactors.
And I want to add Lions Club to J.
And we're gonna add Lions Club to under new business. Can I get a motion, to accept the consent agenda with those changes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Patty, accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. You wanna go first, Mark? You're probably gonna be short.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, my name is Mark Saban, and I'm the chairman of the Montcalm County Solid Waste Committee. And I'm here tonight to talk to you a little bit about solid waste and the crystal recycling program. First of all, I guess I need to ask real quickly of the township board. Do you wanna keep your recycling program? Is that your? Okay. I thought so, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the Montcalm Solid Waste Program real quickly. As you know, we pay for our activities with the tipping fees from the Central Sanitary Landfill over to Pearson. We hold 2 annual tire and electronics collections, and we've now collected since 2014, we've collected about 30,000 tires. We did a household hazardous waste program here last fall here in Crystal, out at the fire barn. And since we began that, we've collected somewhere around 70,000 pounds of household hazardous waste materials that go back to be recycled instead of buried in the landfill. We also do electronics recycling. If you have electronics that you'd like to get recycled, we have 2 annual electronics recycling days. We will be having one this year on May the 6th. We're going to be in Stanton this year, right at the health department parking lot. But if you have electronics that you'd like to get recycled, you can call the Conservation District office in Stanton, Monday through Friday, make an appointment, and take them up there and drop them off up there, because we have a permanent recycling site there. We have 5 sites in Montcalm County. We have Stanton, Lakeview, Carson City, Crystal, and Edmore, and we have a new site opening in Howard City soon. Last year, in 2021, we took in about 795,000 pounds of single stream recycling, and this last year we took in about 830,000 pounds of single stream recycling. We started a recycling compactor project in Lakeview a couple years ago in January, and it has been very, very successful. The thing that makes the compactors more successful than the bins like you have out here right now is that when it's about a quarter full, the compactor automatically cycles and crushes down the single stream. When it's about half full, it does it again. When it's about 3/4 full, it does it again. It keeps crushing it down, and then when it gets about 3/4 full, it sends a signal to the hauler and says, "I'm almost full, come and haul me." So any of you who are that recycle here in town, that come here and find them full, you go, "Oh, I drove all the way to town to get rid of this stuff." So it doesn't sit there full. Second of all, it's much cleaner because they don't pick it up and dump it into a truck over top. They just pick up the whole thing. They come in with a new compactor unit, slide it into there and take the other one and haul it away, all enclosed. So we'll have hopefully we'll have one for cardboard and one for single stream. There's less trips, so we're not beating the roads up so bad with the trucks. But then another big thing for us is contamination. We're pretty fortunate here in Montcalm County with contamination, but our contamination rate was running at about 5%, which is lower than the state average, but it's still a little higher than we'd like to see it. With the compactors, our contamination rate is down to less than 2%, and that's just about where we really want it. When it gets really ugly with contamination is when a load gets rejected. All of our recycling, by the way, goes to the Grand Rapids Recycling Center. It gets down there, and if they reject the load, we have to send a truck from the Central Sanitary Landfill down there, and they load it all up with a Michigan loader and take it back to the landfill. It costs about somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 every time that happens. Last year we didn't have any rejected loads, but 2 years ago we had 3 rejected loads in 1 month. So that gets a little bit pricey. One of those rejected loads, somebody, no idea who did it, but somebody put a half of a hog in one of those dumpsters in late July. Now I guess you know if it was in there for 3 or 4 days, what kind of a mess it made when it went to the recycling center. I can't imagine who would slaughter a hog and then turn around and put it in a dumpster. But I'm guessing they may have slaughtered it and not had the proper cooling place to get it cooled out, spoiled, and then they had decided they wanted to get rid of it. And instead of just taking it out and leaving it for the coyotes, they put it in the dumpster and made a mess. So anyway, we just opened another new recycling site, compactor site in Edmore, and it's going splendidly well. So what we'd like to do is we're looking to replace the last 3 sites with compactors. I'm here tonight to talk to the township about the county. At the county level, we've went to the commissioners, we asked for and received $40,000 from the fund balance towards this project. So, I've been to, you guys are the 5th township that I've come to see now. We're looking for the townships to put a little skin in the game, and we don't expect you to try to scrounge up money today, okay? We understand that, but we'd like you to commit some money in your next year's budget up to $5,000, not to exceed $5,000. It may not be that much. If you're gonna ask me, give us the total scope of the project, it's almost impossible to tell you what it's gonna cost, because it requires 3-phase electricity. But I'm told, and I didn't see Chris come in here tonight, but Chris Johnson told me that there's 3-phase electricity at the fire barn.
There is, thank you, Mike.
So, 3-phase electricity at the fire barn, if we chose that as the site, right next door there on the old slab next to the fire barn maybe. And along with this project, we're gonna put some cameras on it. The other thing we'll need to do is kind of set you thinking about this, about where we could, the cameras don't have to have wires to go in, but they can be wireless, but we need a place to send that where we can record it, so if there's an issue, if people are putting things in there that they shouldn't, we can go and speak with those people and get their attention. So we would want to be thinking about where we might be able to record or send that information. But I guess kind of what I'm looking, first of all, anybody have any questions?
That was my question, what if people put garbage in there and then they compact, doesn't that ruin them?
Garbage doesn't ruin the load, it's things that have to be picked out at the recycling center. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about contamination, is things that we don't take. And we've received a contamination grant. This program, by the way, is the county employs the conservation district to manage this program. And so we have a contamination grant that we applied for at the conservation district, and you may have, if you brought your recycling down, run into a young man out here this summer with a laptop, and he talked to you and asked you where you lived, and asked a few questions. And while he was doing that, there were a couple days I was here with him, and I would say, ma'am or sir, while we're doing that, can I dump your recycling for you? And they go, sure. And then we get to look at what they're bringing. And then we'd say, and I gotta tell you, I don't wanna get into a thing here, but I was talking with some people and they said, well, the people who live here in town are not the people who put that stuff in there. And I said, I worked here in Crystal for a few years at the sheriff's office, and I'm familiar with the summer crowd, so to speak. But even then, you guys are doing a great job. We really are not finding much contamination. Now, we've hauled some things away out here from time to time. Somebody parked out a car and set it out here next to the bins, and we hauled away a couple fenders, a couple doors, trunk, hood, that kind of stuff. And those are the things that what we do with the compactors is we make the holes a little smaller so that they can't cram bags of garbage through there. They have to put it in. So you bring your recycling in a bin and you just tip it up and dump it in and just kind of shake it a little bit and it goes in there. It's singular, because when they throw in big bags of stuff, those big bags lay in that thing now, not the compactor, but they lay in there like this, and there's a lot of wasted space in there. So we ask you not to throw the whole bag in. Excuse me. So, I guess what I'm looking for from you folks tonight is for you to say yay or nay, you would commit your next year's budget up to $5,000 to help to, this is infrastructure money, so you know how it works. We'll be looking at about 25 yards of concrete, 3-phase electricity, and the cameras. The electrical bill, obviously, if we did it at the fire barn, would go to the township. The lease, and we lease these compactors because none of us are smart enough to fix them, so we have a company that services them and takes care of them for us. We pay the compactor lease through solid waste. You pay the electrical bill, the solid waste pays the hauling fees. So,
Now the slab out there, ain't thick enough for the compact?
I don't
That's
think
why you
so,
need the
Kurt.
slab.
I looked at it, cause we did the household hazardous waste day out there on that slab. I don't think that would support those compactors. They take a pretty good slab of concrete, about 12.5 yards apiece. So,
I
Make a
would
motion?
make a motion for next year's budget to, and we would give that to the solid waste committee, correct, Mark?
well, actually,
Or
just
put it in
hang
our
on to
budget
it
to
and
be
we'll
able
tell you,
to-
because
Gotcha.
I'm doing this with all 20 townships in the county. So if, for example, if 20 townships and it costs $60,000 for the last 3, it's only gonna cost you $3,000 instead of $5,000, but I guarantee it will not exceed $5,000.
To have it in our budget to be able to get the compactors.
Up to 5,000.
Up to 5,000, yes.
Sounds like a net.
Motion by Nancy, second by Sarah, to allocate no more than 5,000 for the garbage disposer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
If you don't want to stick around, Mark, you don't have to, but you can.
That's okay.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
go ahead.
So the electricity and the cement, is that through the grant, or is that
No, that's,
township's gonna pay
that,
it?
well, the township won't pay for all of it, but the townships as a whole that we're asking to fund this, because,
That's included in the up to 5,000, but they'll.
right, that's our infrastructure money that we'd be putting in, is that up to 5,000 for each township.
Okay, thank you.
You wanna go? Sure. This is Dave from Wolverine, if you don't know.
Yeah, I'm David Fisher with Wolverine Engineers, and we've been working on the Shoreline project for a while, as I'm sure you all know. And just wanted to give you an update of where things stand now. We have all the plans together from all the other disciplines with the structural and electrical and everything that needs to go on site. And those are in here for people to take a look at. And I have some smaller copies too.
Very good.
And a spec book of all the special provisions and specifications for all the different aspects of what the contractor's gonna be expected to do on the project. So all of this means that we, on our end, are prepared to go out to bid. So it's just a matter of getting the green light from the DNR to approve that, because they have the final say in what gets done there. And then we're ready to advertise. We have approval from Eagle. Well, it's in the process, but they've got all the information and have accepted all the things that we've submitted. So the DNR sign off is the only thing we're waiting for. We would have had it sooner, but the people that we need to work with have been busy going over the Sparks grants, which is another grant that we've submitted for. So hopefully they're busy looking at our stuff, right?
Saying yes.
And we were tentatively scheduled to meet yesterday, so I was hoping to have all that information for you folks tonight, but instead we got some dates next week to meet with them and just keep it moving forward. We have engineers' estimates prepared, with cost breakdowns, now that we have the information from the structural folks and electrical folks and things, so, a much better idea of what we're looking at in a preliminary budget for the project. And of course, it's all gonna be up to what the contractor's bids are, but at least we'll have a good base to work from and know what we can expect. So, there's a lot of detail I could go into about things. I'm not sure how much you want to address tonight, but I'll be happy to address any questions or speak more about any aspects of where we're at now. So
Somebody got any questions for him?
Just a quick one. How do you bid that out? Do you put that on a state's website or do you put that on your website?
yes, it goes out through, state websites like, BidNet, Builders Exchange, things like that, where that's expected, that's where contractors look for these postings. And they can be about anything. Some of these websites are, hey, we're looking for new snowplows for our trucks, right on up to somebody's building a church. So, but they can break it down into search categories for some of those, but that's where it gets posted. DNR will tell us what they will want to require for, how long that bid is to be posted before we can close it and make a determination. And typically that'll be about 30 days.
Is the bid opening at your establishment?
Well, that's up to you folks.
Okay.
Typically, it's either with the engineers, or generally it's at the municipality, if it's public work. But we would be there with it, and that's part of what our duties are on this, is to see you guys through all of that. So we'll open the bids, we'll announce the bids, publicize the bids and all that. You don't have to worry about all that protocol.
Can we to promote local participation, should someone local want to participate?
Absolutely,
Okay.
whoever you want to direct to that, it's just that everything gets posted on these common sites so that every contractor gets the same information. Nobody gets any inside information, and if there's anything that we decide to revise, because there will be some revisions while this bid is open, and I'll get into that stuff too, tonight, so you guys can start planning for these other contingencies.
David, are the contractors bidding have to be on site or online, or do they submit paper bids?
That's up to us. Typically, every municipality likes to handle things differently. Some will make the contractors bring in 5 sets of hard copies and a digital set on a thumb drive, and others say, no, just post it online and we'll take it digitally. So however you guys want to handle it, those sites are available for any method. So if anything comes up along the way and we need to issue an addendum where something might change, we post that right on that same site, and contractors are expected to acknowledge that they've addressed the addendums in their bid, so that we know that they've seen all the information and have included it with what they're submitting. And during that time, there will be a deadline for contractors to ask questions of us if there's anything that they're uncertain about, and they submit that in writing. We collect all of their questions from everybody and answer them all and post them so that every contractor gets to hear what every other contractor's question was, in case that was something that they hadn't thought about. So everybody gets the same information, it's all above board, and all their numbers can be based on the same information. Yep.
I understand you organize everything, coordinate it, but then before final bids are awarded, do you present everything to the board to look at?
Once everything comes in, that's up to you guys to decide how you want to prioritize what the winning bid is. Is it strictly low dollar? Is it, how much is gonna be based on the contractor's reputation? There's a lot of things that come into play as if you're hiring anybody to come and work for your company.
On our hill job, cutting the trees down, we had to have 3 bids, and they made us take the smallest bid.
They did, yeah, and that's, in this situation, now that I mention that, because you're dealing with a lot of grant money, there's gonna be some direction from the DNR, and because it's their purse strings, basically.
They've got us.
Yeah. Generally, that's the way it'll go, but that it also does depend on the contractor and what kind of bonding they can obtain, and so.
The contract of bids is set the whole project, or will like one contract get the excavating and another contract gets something else, or how do you?
For the sake of insurance and liability, it'll be better to have one contractor. For this type of project, you're not gonna get one contractor that can do all these things.
Right.
There's the guys that are gonna set the block and lay the rain tile and do all that work aren't gonna be the same guys doing the flat work for the ramps and sidewalks. So, but you kinda need one contractor's insurance umbrella to oversee everybody, instead of you being your own general contractor and having to sort that out for yourself. And that'll come up in our DNR meeting, but I'm sure that's what they're gonna wanna see.
I have two questions.
Sure.
One is that a seawall along the beach
No.
area?
There's no seawall,
Okay.
we won't, one of the requirements is that we stay out of the water.
Okay.
The only thing we're doing is working from that actual shoreline back. Everything's gonna be inland work from the water line.
Okay, my second question is the DNR gonna allow you to take any bricks or big stones, rocks out of that area, in the water?
We're not going in the
That's not-
water.
That's not part of you, okay.
If there is anything like that, that's. that
The
the
only way to
community
allow
wants
us to get them
cleaned
out
up,
is if you can carry them out.
I know that with the Palladium site, they wouldn't even let them take the bricks out of the water.
Yeah.
one of the
Actually, they
things,
did, they're
They
gone.
did? Oh, they did?
Yeah, we had a working party, yeah, Saturday working party. I just made it nicer for us, nice seeing you bottom there.
Thanks.
since you brought that up, I should point something out that Eagle asked me to include on the drawing. Along the water line here, because they don't want anything to encroach on the water, they had us include a 2-foot ribbon of pea stone at the water's edge. Because they didn't want the sand getting into the water, even though the lake has a sandy bottom. These are the kind of things that they hold to. So that's how strictly we're staying out of the water. I would expect that once the kids hit the beach, that pea stone ribbon is gonna last about long. But they wanna see it, so if it's gonna make the project go, we'll put it on the plans.
Anybody else got a question for him?
David, just for talking for, any significant changes or additions that you can think of that have occurred? One I'm thinking of possibly is water gonna be required for irrigation?
Yes, irrigation is in these plans.
Okay.
It's in the back, there's 2 sheets, and there's 2 systems that we show in here that will be determined, which way we go with it will be determined by, the well analysis from the well that's on site, and how much water it can produce and how clean it is. One of the things that we were concerned about is that if it's a sprinkler system and it's a deep well, having that the minerals in the water hitting all this beautiful new stone and flat work, and then in 2 summers, it's rust. And but if it's clean water, if it's groundwater, that we know won't do that, then we can go with either system. If it is something that we're concerned about, discoloration in the future, and this one was new to me, is an underground bladder system. Now, I shouldn't say bladder. Picture a soak hose that's in a containment system that dissipates it underground below the roots of the turf. So water is never being sprayed anywhere. You turn on the system, it just soaks everything underground. And then the other nice thing about that is you don't have to worry about, when do we turn the sprinklers on, because it's daylight till 10 o'clock in the summer and everybody wants to stay out there, so you never get to water anything. This, you can do it whenever you want. So, and did I send you, I think I sent you the specifications for that, didn't I, a while ago?
I'm not sure.
I brought a copy of them here if anybody wants to take a look, somewhere. That's what these are. So yeah, the part of the electrical plans are to power the controls, and as I mentioned, the well, if wherever we're gonna deliver the water from. And part of the electrical plans also include, the lighting plans. We're gonna have some overhead lights that are directed down, so they're not like street lamps where it's an open globe. So there's no lights,
Those are now electrically powered, not solar.
not solar, no.
Okay.
And then we'll have bollards on the ramps. And we won't have any, we won't need any lighting throughout the terraces because of how the lights cast down. And that's also in here in the lighting plan, so you can see the lights.
Would it be possible to irrigate from the lake?
We considered that until we found there was a well there. Lake irrigation is going to bring in filtration issues. And I'm not as familiar with all that. All the systems that I've ever specified have been well watered. So that is something that we can consider if the well water causes concern with the minerals. But then the other problem is, if we were to use the lake water in the bladder system, because that bladder system's a closed system, if things can get in there that might plug it up. Now, the bladder system still gets blown off in the summer, or the winter, there's things you can do just like the sprinkler system would. But again, it is a closed system and it's not as easy to spot where those issues might be. Yeah.
This underground irrigation system you're talking about, how long is that plastic gonna last, or how often do we have to replace it? Cause some of that only lasts like 4 or 5 years in the agricultural market.
That's, you can
I'm
look it
just
up
going
through
by
here.
what people have installed already. They have to put up a bladder system, and they have a ventilator system here that does each of the hoses, it does like every other row on the field. But after so long, you got to replace it.
I'll be curious to know what the manufacturer specifies, because the places that they use these things are pretty established rounds that they don't wanna have to,
Yeah, go back and
go back and do that with.
Just go trenching, maybe that's all you do.
Right. Now,
Because it's not a very thick hose, it's kind of like, got
Right.
holes all over it where the water goes out.
and this will be 8 inches under the surface, so it's not real deep, but it is wider, so you're right,
Yeah, you're every couple
you
rows
can't
of
just
the
pull
field.
up a sprinkler line, and it's not that.
It's like a big soaker hose, that's what it is.
Right.
One thing concerned out of the lake is zebra mussels. I irrigated out of the lake and up north, and you had to clean the heads and the valves, every 2 weeks.
Right.
They filled with zebra mussels, just tiny little things, but they're zebra mussels.
And that's, like you're saying, there's lots of things to be concerned about with filtration. So, but we've included them both, to see what, might work best once we get the well set. And based on my conversations, it's clean water, not deep well water, and so we should have a viable option to use that.
There's another question I have, is there a general timeline now?
Yes, and that's in the spec book also. One of the things we talked about was not, being in the ground during the summer season, but, we'll get this out to bid, or advertise it in 30 days, and get the contractor their construction schedule, and we'd like to get the south ramp, which would be down here. These aren't up to date, these were preliminary things, but they're in the drawing. Because that can be, we can work out of the
It's down by,
parking lot down here.
that's down by the stairs, right?
Yeah, all those are going away.
Yeah.
So to get that bookend, if you will, done this spring, and then get that all safe again to stand alone, and then when they come back in the fall, after the season's over, they can work from there and come right on down, and then connect the other book. Well, they can either do this one first and then connect them together, but at least we'll get this out of the way. And we won't, the block layers won't have to wait for that part to be done, because that's gonna have the critical elevations that they're gonna have to tie into to extend down. So they'll at least know exactly where they're at and have something to go by. Because the blocks are modular and those ramps are gonna be monolithic. That's gonna be one big structure.
When, in the fall, when you start looking at the, removal of the soil, you got some plan for the deposition of it?
Yes.
Where's it all gonna go?
That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Along with that is part of what we had talked about when this was all coming together, is what kind of volunteer labor and local support that we can get, that we can deduct from the bid option. And we don't have to know that now. These are the kinds of things that can come out in addendums to say, hey contractor, you know what? You don't have to worry about hauling all this dirt away because we got a stockpile situation that you can use nearby. So don't price in all that trucking. Or, you know, we're gonna have sidewalk removals. No, they don't show them there. So we're gonna have sidewalk removals where some of the ground's gonna be disturbed. Well, you know, somebody can do that with a bobcat and just lift all that up and move it on out. So, and any of the tree clearing, whatever the community and the angels that are out there wanna support with, we can, adjust that off the bid package. But, yeah, to your point, that's one of the things that I wanted to, that we had discussed before, is that there might be options for local stockpiling.
Yeah, some of that could be done then, pre-contract, if you will, or it could be done off-contract, is that the way to put it?
Yes. And one of the things that we have to do that we've included in our spec book is whatever of that happens with community volunteer work has to be coordinated with the contractor so that none of that work falls under the contractor's liability and insurance problems, because that could inflate the bid price if they know that there's just somebody coming on site whenever they want to get some work done on the weekends, kind of thing. So we want to avoid all that and just make sure that whatever it is that people want to contribute is well coordinated with the site that needs to happen.
Does that have to be highlighted in your bid document, I would think, so the contractors that are bidding on it are aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said, those are likely gonna be things that if people step forward, we can issue those as addendums, so the contractors have all that information and know what they don't have to worry about.
Who is supposed to be monitoring the volunteer work?
Yeah.
Well, and the liability from the townships, you know, if we say, okay, yeah, you guys are gonna give us a few free days of work, but then you have a horrible break on your leg and then we're on the hook for how much to the insurance, you know?
And along with that, you want,
Supposed to monitor them coming and going and this type of thing.
and along with that, you wanna make sure that whoever these volunteers are, know what they're doing and know how it needs to be done.
I'm still going, the board, do you know who's gonna be monitoring this?
Probably the
Have we
board.
decided yet we're gonna have volunteers?
I'd say the contractor's probably gonna be over them a little bit, if they gotta work with a contractor, won't they?
That would be, that's what I was
That'd be
talking
the
about
oversight of
before,
it,
about,
anyways, not their insurance, but.
yeah. And that's where the coordination of that help is critical with the contractor, because the contractor is gonna wanna
Make sure they're doing it right, yeah.
Well, they want it done right and they want it getting done,
Yeah.
and not just after hours and weekends. Don't hold up the project, because if the lion's share of this is gonna be getting done after Labor Day, well, we got till the snowflakes, you know, so it has to keep moving.
I have two questions. One, is there a physically challenged ramp for wheelchairs?
Absolutely.
Where is that? Can you point that out somewhere? Where's that gonna be?
At each end,
Get handouts?
it will be easier to show you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the smaller sets of the plans here. One of the things, while I'm looking this up, one of the things that we were asked to do is make this not just ADA compliant, but universally with designed with universal design in mind, which means anybody in any physical condition can access all the same places. Not just wheelchair compliant, it's, you know, vision, you know, anything. So what we have, and I have blow-ups of this. At each end, here and here, are switchback ramps that allow access. So this dark line here, consider it that being the top of the wall, and in front of it, it doesn't show on here, in front of it, there's a sidewalk here. So that ramp can take you to any level onto these sidewalks, so you can use every terrace. And those are at both ends. And here's a bigger picture. And there's a sheet of this for each end. So these are switchbacks that go down. And there's also on the landings, there's steps so people can walk them to. So you don't have to take the ramps. There's ramps and stairs.
I appreciate that. My second question is, would be helpful for me as somebody to help give the board input, is when you get to the point where you're gonna be down to 3 options or 3 managers, is that if we could like see a couple of their work projects so we can get an understanding of maybe the quality or the scope, to just see what you know, who these people are that are up for the award.
Part of what we'll help with when it comes to awarding the bid is interview the contractors and get their background. And you'll get an engineer's recommendation of their level of work, and so we'll be able to speak to that when it comes time to award the bid. And you don't have to award what we tell you, but we'll give you that background, because we know the questions to ask them to make sure they're not just trying to get the work.
I guess, Dave, the last question, probably maybe the most iffy, is if you got I think you have, a revised pricing?
Yes. And since then, as you all know, when we started all this off and we're going for the grant money, well, COVID happened, and then inflation happened, and nobody's numbers from those days are ever gonna be seen again. But we have done a revised engineer's estimate, and when we did this one, we erred on the side of it probably costing more than the MDOT standards are right now that we base it on. And the latest revision is $753,000. Now, along with that, when we put this together, I also came up with some things where we could reduce the cost of it by reducing the scope. So if we were, and this $750,000 includes everything, so if you get any volunteers that come in, and I think before we came up with an estimate of about $150,000 worth of in-kind support. So if that's the case, that brings it down to 6, and if we reduce the number of terraces, then this won't affect the overall grade. So if we limit it to the bottom couple and take out the top two, that'll eliminate 250,000. So we can really dial this back down if need be.
What's the timing, you would want to review that choice of one or the other with the board, of course.
Yes.
What's your timing to do that? I mean, when do you really wanna decide what the end price is gonna be?
When the bids come in
Okay.
and we see what they're really willing to do the work for.
So you could revise your drawings at the last time for the construction.
The nice thing is, it's a lot easier for me to take a full set of plans and back some things off than to, no, we want more now. Well, okay, that's gonna change how things are in the hill and all that. But along with that, some of this, is actually quoted work already. So we got quotes from the irrigation company, from the electrical guys for the site fixtures, the irrigation guys. So some of those things are kind of baked in already. So
The quotes you have, from curiosity, the quotes you have from the electrical side, are any of those based, or do any of the local electrical contractors have a chance to quote on that?
absolutely. When I talk about the electrical that we've done so far, that is, we talked to the fixture distributors and showed them our plans, and again, though they're in here, you can see the light mapping. Because we had to pick some kind of fixture so they could give us that information.
Yeah, I'm thinking more about the labor, the installation and the labor, like, you know, there's several companies here locally.
That's gonna be part of the bid.
Okay.
When the electrical that I'm talking about that we have included in here that's the engineered electrical. So then the contractor knows, okay, this is where I gotta run, this is where I'm taking my power from and how far I gotta go, and what I gotta connect to.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I've used, you know, national standard, I should say, national averages and state averages, and quite often for this area, it comes in lower than those, so there's some opportunity there.
Absolutely. And I hope that whoever the general contractor is gonna take advantage of using that, and
Good.
we'll just see how their packages come in.
Go ahead.
Has there been any thought about selling the material that's going to be taken out of this area?
It's your material.
Okay.
If anybody's looking for fill and that kind of thing. One of the things that we did include in our specifications is as the excavator is clearing things out, if they hit a vein of nice sand that we can use on the beach, that doesn't go anywhere. That gets stockpiled, and then that offsets the sand that we would have to bring in, because beach sand is different than fill sand. So, we'll just make that determination as it gets uncovered. They're gonna strip all the topsoil, that'll be stockpiled, that's not going anywhere. And,
Will that be reused then?
yeah, yep, because when we do this excavation, this hill's gonna be regraded, so we're 1-on-4 to continue from the top of the terraces. And so they'll peel that back, do the work, mess it all up, do the work, and then come back, put a finish grade on it, and then top it with the topsoil that they took off before. And like I said, if they do happen to find sand in there too, so topsoil and sand doesn't go anywhere, but anything else, whatever, belongs to the community, so if there's a place that it can benefit, absolutely.
I understand the pavilion's going away and that we are looking at putting smaller pavilions in several different areas. I don't know if that's.
Been included in the original.
It isn't.
That's not part of this, that could be a future phase.
Okay.
I know I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but way back when we discussed like bathrooms, things like that would, because this is gonna bring a lot more people out. And those are the kinds of things that once you see what traffic patterns you have and public use, then it's better to put those ideas together rather than include a bathroom facility in this and then it still not be big enough and it is overwhelmed.
I wish you could pre-plumb it so that if we decide to do it, while you got it all torn up, we can throw some pipes down and get some plumbing.
That plumbing would likely come off the street, as opposed to the well that's on site, because that well's been abandoned, as far as I understand. It was used for irrigation in the past, I don't know what.
You used it when they put the sewer around the lake.
Okay.
It was just a ground surfing well or something. Then the fire department used it up till 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. So, I don't envision any of that piping that could be for future use like that coming across the park.
Do you have an idea or an estimate of how much excess soil, you know, whatever it is that comes out that you'll need to get rid of? Because some people have asked about fill and maybe selling it or something. Do you have an idea of, so people could make some?
Yeah, originally it was
and
about
this is-
9,000 of that.
10,000
Original.
yards?
This is, yeah, and we calculated this when we have the existing surface of the park from topographical survey, and then our proposed surface after it's built, and that cut and fill calculation came out to, I'm going off the top of my head, but I think this is the right answer, is 10,400 cubic yards.
It's gone up a little bit then, I think. Yeah, one of the numbers I saw was 9,000 cubic yards of
But it's hard to
removal.
tell till they start digging, because if you hit sand, then it'll stay.
Oh, yeah.
That might save some.
But in case
You know,
anybody
and again, if the prices
has a
come
need
in
for
and
it.
we need to, take out a couple terraces, well,
Yeah.
it's gonna save some cut
What
there.
was, what was the amount of sand required, your estimate? Is that around three, I think, or around
Granular.
three?
I just looked at this today, but I've looked at a lot of numbers
Okay,
today.
that's all right, David. I
Um,
can look it up.
Have you thought this through?
In my sleep here. Granular blanket, 600 cubic yards. And that's for, through,
It's a stretch.
through the
Yep.
length of the beach at 1.5 feet.
Yeah, okay. That's not less than I thought, so it's,
That was less than
I might wanna talk to you about that.
We can always add more.
Okay. I might have some sand for you.
Last I knew, they couldn't do all the tiers. That we had to go down on the tiers because of cost wise.
The ones that were in here, that I just unrolled, these are the plans we're going out with right now.
And that's, this is many tiers, it's on the original.
No, this was a preliminary
Just two.
prototype, just to
Yep.
give an idea,
Yep.
people an idea of what the effect would be of the terraces. This is actually the calculated designs.
Which is how many terraces?
Okay.
Yep.
How many, I think she's asking, is it 4 terraces right now?
Yeah.
Okay, which is about what you have there, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I was on the committee when we had those done, that it was gonna be that many, and, Jeremy had said something about, getting rid of some of the tiers because of cost.
That's what we can do if we have to.
And again, so this is what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we were to eliminate 1 or 2 of the upper tiers, that's not gonna affect the grade on the hill. We'll still be a 1-on-4, we just won't have to come up as high on the hill to get tied back into the existing grade on the hill. So, to engineer and design a reduction in the terraces isn't going to be a big deal.
Okay, you got any more you wanna tell us, Dave, or I think we'll
Well,
stop the
hold
questions.
on for 1 second, for timeline's sake, you're meeting with the DNR, you guys are gonna go over stuff next week.
Yep.
They are gonna say, all right, you can put it out for bids. Will you then contact us so we can give our community members the same information to send them to your same bid site, so everybody's on the same
Yep,
page?
this won't go out, this won't be publicized without you folks publicizing.
Okay,
We'll put it together for you, but this comes through you, and if any questions come up
okay,
for the contractors, we field out those. You don't have to worry about having to answer for anybody, or I answer the question to you, and then you gotta relate it to the contractor.
Right, but like, this is our first interaction, so I'm learning
Yep.
along the way.
So, no, once this goes out for advertising, it's yours, but we'll handle it for you.
You have something, John, you want to say, or?
This lady in the back in the blue sweatshirt has been raising her hand
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
whole time. I'm trying to get.
Yeah, I was just curious, I've been pulling a couple different things, just kind of on the side, not real necessarily correct information. The top of the hill as it exists right now with the playground equipment and the pavilion, that plane is gonna remain exactly as it is, there's no.
The crown of the hill will remain the same. In fact, I'll show you the grading plan. And you can see exactly what the limitations of construction would be. And, the pavilion was mentioned before. If we reduce the number of terraces, we may not have to remove the entire pavilion, maybe just a portion of it. But that remains to be determined. And again, we don't have to decide that tonight or before we advertise the bid. That can be issued as an addendum if there's any changes. So this is the grading plan. I don't know how you're gonna be able to see it, how well you're gonna be able to see it from across the room. But these are contour lines. So this is the upper terrace here.
Right.
And these are 1-on-4 contours that continue up until they match existing. So you can see how far it goes back into where the existing playground is. So it might be easier for you to take a closer look at this. I'm leaving it here for you guys, so. And then you can see what the limits of construction will be. Yep.
When you say when we advertise the bids, meaning you or the board?
We will put it together for you, but it's basically, the advertisement goes out under Crystal Township, with Wolverine being your engineers. So whatever type of project it is, say you're gonna build a new school, then you include your architect as your contact person. With this, that'd be us. And all questions would be, by the contractors, would be asked through that link on the website, but we would field them for you and post the answers.
Okay, but once again, our board needs to post what you've organized. So it goes out to all the different contractors.
Right, well, we'll post it,
Okay.
but it's,
I just wanna,
it's
just
with the,
checking for understanding.
yep, everything is gonna, we'll do it for you, but you'll know everything that's going on and why.
Okay, it's called a prepositional check.
Yeah, this is all open to everything that's happening, so you're gonna know, you'll be able to check your site and see how many contractors have looked at it, who the contractors are that are showing interest, and all that information that, is on that site will be yours to know.
You want to say anything, John, or?
I'm not sure if it's a super relevant question right this second. My curiosity, DNR is concerned with working from the shore in, putting the ribbon of stone. They obviously know over time there's going to be erosion into the lake. In your experience, how easy are they to deal with for putting more sand in and any other issues that may arise from erosion?
I brought that up. I didn't want to just say, okay, we'll do whatever because you want to. I don't want to say push back, but I questioned a little bit about, what's expected with maintenance over time, and she was confident that when we put that stone in, that's gonna solve her issues.
It's east facing and it's gonna get a lot of.
I know.
So I'm just concerned, that's all.
I think I can give you some clarification there. I know a guy who had a big marina down in Portage Lake, I think. It had a big sail club, and he built a nice beach. And he says, yeah, of course they won't let us go out, but every spring, Because I bring in 2 big truckloads of beach sand, and I pile them up on my beach, and the kids love it. And by the end of the summer, they have worked that thing down like ants.
All let them talk.
Because it all works out. Because you can't put it right in the lake, but you put it up on the beach. The kids love that little hill. It gives them something fun to work on all summer. And it just takes care, it just all works out.
Yep, and in talking with Eagle about that particular thing, they were more concerned about anything that we're gonna install that wasn't native to that site washing down into the lake. Even though it's a sandy bottom lake, this isn't the same sand as the sand in the lake. And
There's no sand there now either, on the hill.
exactly.
So.
When I asked them how they felt about the erosion undermining all the trees and stuff on that bluff, but
Okay.
I didn't want to push too hard with
They
somebody.
need to justify their existence.
Well, I don't wanna have an issue in 5 years
I
either.
assume there's gonna be truck access then from one end or the other?
There's what, access?
Truck access to get more sand in if needed in the future?
That's something that will be coordinated with, you're talking about
Maintenance.
post-construction.
Yeah.
Yes, off the street,
Well, you don't have to pull it off, just yes or no answer.
when you take a look, yeah,
Poor fella.
when it comes down around here, the beach wraps around to near where the sidewalk is. So it'll have to be taken up over the curb, but it can get there from the street, so it'd be from the north end.
To dump, just to dump those 2 piles of sand for the kids to play.
Every spring.
You got any more you wanna say, Dave, or?
I'm here for you guys cause
I think
there's a lot that's happened since the last time we were talking about it, and I just wanna make sure that you guys have a chance to answer questions, and this doesn't, you have my email, and feel free to drop me a line if there's anything that you think about later after you've had a chance to look at the plans and stuff.
How many tiers are there now?
4.
There are 4?
Yep.
Anything that the township citizens would like to see, could we have image files or something to put on our website or to share on Facebook? Something instead of taking pictures of that? Anything that you're bringing in
Visual
material-wise?
files of a schematic that we can use in
yeah.
our stuff, yeah.
Yeah, these are all in PDF format. So
Oh, awesome.
I can email them over.
Great.
I don't know how the last set I sent to Patty may not have some of these, like the irrigation plans and the structural engineering plans. Those are boring things anyway. But, yeah, these are, you own these. They're,
Right, but we could get, like you said, a PDF that we could share on the community website, something so someone that's not here tonight could then see what we're talking about.
there's a couple things, if, after I meet with the DNR, they're gonna have other notes and things that they'll wanna be included. I'd prefer to make sure that's all included before you take something public with it.
Okay.
So they're not looking at something that doesn't have all the exact details that the
Sure.
DNR wants to include.
Okay.
I have all the answers that they're gonna wanna have, but I wanna make sure they're shown the way they wanna read them on the plans. And then that way, when the public gets them, they're seeing what's been approved by the government.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Dave, you gotta do it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you, here's some smaller copies, the big copy, the spec book. This is the only copy that we have of this. Oh, there's one page, this is good to go except for the contact information for some of the utility companies. We know the county guys. So this page is what we're looking for. So we know the county contacts, but we don't know the local telephone, cable, basically, so what we're looking for are these. those pages. But otherwise, this book is written for you guys, for this specific project.
Thank you.
And here's the engineer's estimates, so you can look at how things are itemized. Yes, I have a couple more questions. Okay, we talked about potentials for stockpiling, the volunteer work coordination, the utility info, the well evaluation, and in the switchback ramps, this is the kind of detail we're at now, in the ground beneath or between the ramps. Think about how you may want to landscape that, whether it's just stone or if you're putting shrubs in and whatever it is. And if it is something vegetated, are you going to want those areas irrigated? Or do you want to just hand water that? There isn't a lot of space in there to work with, so irrigation might be a little overkill. And for anybody that wants to see the underground maps, this is one of the irrigation choices. And I think that's all I had.
Are these two the same?
Oh, this was my copy that I
Oh, okay.
This might be the old one.
Yeah,
So there's, a lot of this is gonna be similar, but it won't have all the other, plans from like the irrigation guys and electrical guys. This is just stuff that our firm had done, waiting for this other stuff to come in, so.
Okay.
These are what we're taking to the DNR. So, if there's nothing else for me now, and again, you've got my email, feel free, I know this is a lot to hear after a while, so I'm sure people might have some other ideas after they've had a chance to let it soak in, so. Yep.
I'd like to remind people that this has been in process since 2018.
I know.
This is not a new idea, and I, go on Facebook and people are going to be shocked about this. This has been in process for five years plus. And it's an idea that's great for the community, but it's 5 years to get to this point.
And I'm proud to say that I've been part of it from the start.
Oh, that's nice.
Most drink that
Let me tell you, when this thing gets done, there's gonna be a party.
Yeah, ribbon cutting ceremony.
Okay, you done then, Dave?
I think that's it.
All right, thanks a lot. You're welcome to leave. Again,
Just, if you decide to put shrubs in those areas, Lions Club is in town every night with golf carts carrying watering equipment for all the plants, so if we need to just go home and fill up and water the shrubs, it'd be easy to do.
okay, thank you. Okay, that moves us down to the Montcalm County Buzz. Chris ain't here. Fire report, Mike's not here. DBW, Mike, you got anything you wanna say? Nope, okay. Duck Lake Improvement, Shirley?
We met early in January, and I believe we reported on that at the last meeting.
Thanks, Dave.
Nothing since then.
Okay, thanks, Shirley. Downtown Development, Dave?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I want to remind everybody that the Winter Festival is a week from Saturday. We are having it, even if the lake is open. Okay. There's a schedule of activities. I think there are out in most of the businesses. If you want to pick up a schedule on the activities that'll be going on. There'll be some of those affected by the weather, like fishing derby. Racing on the lake are probably not going to happen. It's probably already happened on a couple of, I think somebody went through the lake, so hopefully they don't do any more of that. And any planes coming in will probably have to have pontoons on. So those three things are likely to be affected by the weather. We also have another money raffle going on. I expect somebody on the township board to win again this year. They did last year. Win something anyway. I really want to thank all the businesses that support the event. We have a lot of businesses supporting the event this year. Keeps increasing all the time. I'd also like to especially thank Deb Woodard here for heading it up. She does an excellent job. She does all that work. We got a little extra help from Patty Stoll this year. A little bit. It was welcomed help though. It's amazing when you start these things, you have a lot of discussion, a lot of people interested, and you have a handful of people that actually does it. And right now, that's the way this goes. So hopefully everybody, excuse me, hopefully everybody will come out and have a good time. Free show at 3:30, that's going on. There'll be quite a few things. The Lions Club is pitched in to do a people mover this year. So they'll be able to shuffle people around that don't want to walk up the hill. So I think free. Yep. That's what I hear. Maybe a collection box.
Yeah, there'll be a bucket on there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I just like to throw the change in.
Right, throw your token in there. Okay, but anyway, everybody have a good time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Dave. Let's down to the Montcalm Police Report, officer.
I'm Deputy Campbell. Our minutes for January, we had a total of 146 hours in the township. We had 12 criminal investigations and 1 criminal arrest resulting from that. Total of 16 traffic stops in the township in January and 190 property inspections, with a total of 1,638 miles patrolled. Notable event, I don't know if you guys were here last month, I said that breaking and enterings were on the rise. It's still true right now, though we did have one in the 1 mile block to Mount Hope Road. That one was solved almost immediately through help with the victim. We were able to arrest the guy on multiple felonies. He's still currently in jail on a $175,000 bond. So they are getting solved. Hopefully they will get better. Just stay diligent for us still. Any questions?
Thank you. That puts us down to the trustee report.
Spark grants, what I've been crazily checking, like for the last 3 or 4 weeks, going, did we get it, here's the deadline, and then they have now pushed it back. So that's like about all that I got going on right now. I would like to put out a couple of informative posts on our website and social media about what township boards do, what our purview is. Because if we can help everybody know what we're supposed to be doing, they're less likely to get mad at us for doing things that we're actually supposed to be doing, or when we can't do the things we're not supposed to do. Would that be okay with everyone? Awesome. Moving along.
Done?
Done.
Thank you. Puts us down to correspondence, DTE public hearing. Unfinished business. We got the American Rescue Plan money still, some. Nothing there, is there? And,
Nothing at this moment.
community center,
We need another month to get some bids on what Alicia was looking at for the old portion of the building. She could not be here tonight, so next month for that one.
okay. Puts us down to new business. Drops us right down to C. You've got the Carson City Police Department here tonight.
I guess you'll walk up here so you're not twisting your neck around so you can see who I am. All right. Chief Ceramic, Chief of Police in Carson City. Been the chief there for approximately a year and a half. And you're probably like, why is the Chief of Police here talking to me? Well, we talked to, we're looking to grow the Carson City Police Department in our patrol area, in our coverage area, and what we do. I spoke with the sheriff before I even came and talked to you tonight. I spoke with Kurt and Patty maybe 2 weeks ago now. I had a meeting with them to see if they were even interested in the idea at all. So we're looking at taking over the contract from Montcalm County. Montcalm County is wanting to move their people around more so they can cover the entire county. We look to offer you guys much better coverage than you have now. We look to provide extended hours that you have coverage now. Right now, I believe you get coverage where you guys 5 to 1, 5 to 3, I think is what the county is. So I talked to Mike Williams about it. He was completely on board with it. He has no issue with us doing it. And I did that out of respect because I didn't want to come up here when he has a contract with you guys. A little bit about me, just real quick. I have 30 years of law enforcement experience. I retired from the city of Detroit as a master sergeant. I did 23 years there with narcotics and special operations. I'm very vastly trained in narcotics detection and crowd control issues, and from working downtown during the protests they had in Detroit. I was in charge of the entire arrest operation team for that, so I'm well versed in dealing with larger crowds, which you guys do get in the summertime up here. Not on the same scale, I'm quite sure, but, you know. And then what else do you get for going with the Carson Police Department? Honestly, you get a group of officers that are level-headed, very mature. The guys that I brought on, I've handpicked them since I got here. When Carson City hired me, they wanted me to revamp the police department from what it was. We've done that in the year and a half that I've been there. In the year and a half that I've been there, we've had 0 break-ins, 0 larcenies, 0 catalytic converter thefts, which are going on throughout the entire county. And this is done by the fact that I have adopted a more proactive patrol strategy than what used to be done. And that'd be the same strategy that we would use up here for you guys. It's involved in traffic enforcement, strategic traffic enforcement, and community involvement, and getting to know the community you work with. When I first came to Carson City, obviously I didn't grow up here. I'm not from here. And I know that most of the people that lived in Crystal and Carson, most of them have grown up here and lived here their entire lives. So the city took a chance on hiring me, and it's paid off so far. But what I did when I first got hired is I went and walked up and down Main Street to every business owner, gave them my card, introduced myself, asked them what their goals were for what they wanted to see with the police department, asked them what their issues were with the police department or what issues they had with the city in general. I routinely meet with the retirees that go to the Muffin Top restaurant and talk to them, because most of the information you're gonna get about your city is gonna come from your older retirees, because they're very attentive to what's going on in their community. So I meet with them. I would do the same thing here in Crystal. I would go to the churches, I would go to your businesses, whatever you need. We'd set up a time, like a coffee with a cop thing or something like that. Or you guys will have access to my email and my department cell phone. Rings all the time. People call me with questions or whatever. The other thing that we do in Carson is we've upped the amount of narcotics arrests that we made down there, based on the fact that in Montcalm County, there's a huge issue with meth, which that's just because most of the time meth is in the rural areas. Down in Detroit, we dealt with heroin more and crack and stuff like that. So, but it's the same thing, it's just a different drug. So by targeting those and getting that problem mostly under control, or putting a huge dent in that, you alleviate most of your break-ins and your larceny stuff and B&E auto stuff, because by doing this, most of the time, those crimes are crimes of opportunity where people are looking for a quick hit that they can get into somewhere, get some quick money to support their narcotics habit. That is not solely what we do. We also have a large community involvement in the schools. We do attend all the basketball games and football games. We do community events. We did the Christmas parades and the Christmas festival down there. We also do any concerts and stuff like that. On top of that, what else did I write down here? Sorry, lost my train of thought. We also, I know you guys have an issue with golf carts. And, we had an issue with golf carts last summer in Carson. I told them when I met with them that, we would enforce the golf carts. It's the same thing we did in Carson. There is actually laws on golf carts. Everybody thinks they're like, oh, I got a golf cart, it's just like driving on the golf course. No, it's not, it's really not. You have to have an ORV sticker, you're supposed to have a mirror and, you know, turn signal indicators and stuff like that if they're street legal and you're driving them around the lake or around downtown or wherever you're allowed to in the, you know, Crystal area based on whatever. So we've enforced that in Carson, we've got that under control. I would do the same thing for you guys here. We're gonna have dedicated officers up here during the summer, and we would extend our patrols. And the other good thing that you get with the Carson Police Department versus the county is that you get a whole dedicated police department. You get myself, you get my officers, you get our equipment, and we are not tied to the county's radio per se, where if there's a county run and they have to pull the Crystal car to cover a county run, which doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen where they pull them out to go do different runs. That would not apply to us. Our backup system would be the guys in Carson and the guys in Crystal rotating back and forth. Obviously, from talking to Mike, the county would still back us up. It's not like we're just gonna be out here by ourselves. And since I've been there, we've also rebuilt our relationship with the county and MSP, which may or may not have been very good before I got there, but it is now. So we operate my department on a team basis. We work as a team. We don't have individuals that are just out there for their own purposes. They're all trained in community policing and advanced patrol tactics and progressive patrol tactics versus just sitting around and reacting when somebody gets you a radio run. You'll literally see us driving around on a regular basis. We'll be waving at you. I mean, we're a very full, engaged department in the community. And like I said, you'll have access to my email, you'll have access to, my guys carry department cell phones as well. So on-duty cell phones, or if they're working, you can kind of hold them anytime you need anything. Kurt has my cell phone already, anything like that. I just purchased a brand new body camera system for the city, which they didn't have before. We have a watch guard body camera system, so not only do we have an in-car camera, my guys all wear body cameras affixed to their chests, which cuts down liability for the department, the township, the citizens that they encounter, and it's just an added level of, you know, security for us, for you, and it's paid off dividends where people feel more comfortable, because a lot of times in today's day and age, police officers get a bad rap, and this way everything, all of our encounters are videotaped and recorded so that there's no issues there. Any issues that are happening in the department are dealt with by me, and I have a very low tolerance for stuff that's done outside of the scope of what your actual job is. So, we presently are hiring. I have 3 people that I interviewed that are ready to go, which we would bring on pretty much immediately if we take over the contract with you guys. I know your contract is up in December. If it was something that we worked out sooner, the sheriff also stated that he has no problem with the early out clause or anything like that. We just purchased a brand new car. We're looking at other options for cars. Any questions that you have of me, anything you'd like to know? Yes, ma'am.
How many officers do you have right now without those 3 that you're gonna hire in?
So we had 1 that just left, and that put us down to now we have the 1 and me. So the 3 that we're hiring now will put another 1 in Crystal, will give us enough to cover Crystal and Carson at the same time, for an extended amount of time. Instead of just the 10 hours, you'll get like a more continuous patrol coverage.
Now, didn't we double dip? I know we've got our officer, but
wasn't it?
Well, I call it double, it might be the right word to use.
Well, yeah, but.
We got our township millage,
Yeah,
and now we pay a county millage.
right. So what's gonna happen with that?
Right, voters approved it, right.
Right, so what's gonna happen with that if we have Carson City come in?
Well, we'd use our township millage to pay for them.
And then we'd still be paying,
Oh yeah, you're still gonna pay the county one until it gets voted down. or
The
whatever.
township would
So
not be.
the residents of Carson still pay the county millage for public safety,
Right.
even though we have a funded police department that's funded by the city. So he's kinda right on the way that works. Yeah.
okay, so that will always be that way, then we will always have the county,
As long as it keeps getting voted in.
oh, okay.
It's a millage.
The county is still, if something happens, we went with them, the county's still, with the county millage, is still supposed to give us so many hours.
Right,
And I think that was a 5-year millage for the county, wasn't it?
we just,
Have to look at
Yeah.
the
I was gonna say, we just did that.
You have to look at the tax rate.
So you'll just take over the contract
Yes, the one that you have now,
with the county?
yeah, and then we'd obviously well, I
No.
mean, no. Yeah, I mean, yes and no, we'd be your, I guess, contracted police, but it's not like we.
We haven't talked money or nothing yet.
Yeah, we're, the city manager, the mayor, and the other people in Carson are coming up with the numbers. I'm more of the, hey, this is what we're thinking, and I wanted to meet you guys and see if you had questions, just so the community knows who I am and what we bring to you. So, yes. Yes, sir.
I got one. How come you didn't go to Boomer Township first instead of coming clear up to Crystal? Block Crystal and Boomer out. And Boomer's got one of the worst drug problems there is.
Boomer does have a good drug problem, yes.
They have a good stealing problem too.
Yes, they do.
And Carson is just Carson City. You just have the city limits.
1.18 square miles.
Right, and you can't go out and bother the rusty nail, and you can't go out and harass people in the park. If you come up here, people out partying.
We do patrol the park, yes. And we do patrol around the prison, which is in Bloomer, because we have an agreement with the warden at the prison, because they've had a lot of drone drops lately. So we do go out and drive around the prison, but that's all we do out there. So why we went with Crystal over Bloomer, the answer to that would be that if you come up Mount Hope, you're immediately in Crystal. If you go out M57, you're in the Bloomer, right? Crystal to us offers a more,
Condenser road's the line.
what's that?
Condenser road's the line.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you come up Mount Hope to Condenser,
Yeah.
and then you're in Crystal.
Right.
So for us, Crystal Township, with the activities you guys have in the summer, the potential it has for us for maintaining our officers, with giving them a more diverse area to work in as far as like the summer crowds. And when I looked at the call volume in Crystal, which I believe you guys last year had about 1,020 calls for service. And the county out here did about 770 traffic stops roughly. So for me, as the chief in Carson, when you look at the two townships, Crystal is definitely the better way to go. It's a busier area. It offers my guys a more chance to do road patrol as far as the area that we're gonna cover up here in Crystal with the lake and stuff like that. And just in Carson City last year, we had 377 calls, and my guys alone in Carson, we did 569 traffic stops. So we're very traffic oriented.
You're talking golf carts. There's more golf carts in Crystal Township. You got side by side, you got razor, you got motocross.
I kinda.
About all that, it's all supposed to be 25 miles an hour, and nobody stops none of them.
Well, that was brought up to me when I met with Kurt and Patty. And honestly, as far as yes, I said golf carts, but yes, we talked about the side-by-sides and the quads and everything else. And the speed limit is what it is, you know what I mean? And it's 25 miles an hour, and, you know, you have to be a certain age to be riding those things on the street. And, you know, so I guess, I know you're shaking your head like there's no way you're gonna combat this, right?
You're not gonna combat them.
You're not gonna combat it, but the thing is you can actually put a dent in it, and once people see the enforcement action taking place, you can have a positive effect, alright? So just a case in point of what I've done with something like this. When I was in Detroit, our ops team would get sent downtown on the weekends, all right? Anybody's ever been to Detroit? Greektown, they run the razors and the side-by-sides and everything up and down the streets of Detroit, right? We would enforce those, and once you see 10, 20, 30 people getting stopped or getting a ticket or something like that, then the other people start to look around and they start to go, well, hey, wait a minute, if I'm doing this, and the police are out here, and by us being out here with more coverage for you guys, to give you more time that you see us, we're gonna combat that problem. I can't promise you we're gonna solve your entire golf cart problem, because then you'd be like, come back to me and be like, you lied, right? But we can combat it for you and try to put a dent in what you have. And that's kind of what they talked to me about when I was there. So that's kind of the plan I've been coming up with. Since I met with them, I've been kind of running down how we would do this, stuff like that. And it's really a targeted enforcement thing. You know, obviously, in a straight up somebody drunk on a golf cart, that can still be a different type of arrest than just traffic stopping somebody. And, you know, you can't have open intox on a golf cart, because it's still open intox, right? So once you start to enforce some of those things, people will see that, hey, it's not a free-for-all anymore, and then it makes it a safer environment for everybody that's enjoying Crystal.
Where do you call a stop when you're speed chasing?
What's that?
Where do you call a stop when you're speed chasing like a quad or a razor out in the country is doing almost 90 miles an hour? And
Okay.
goes around the corner and takes out another car.
So we have, when I got there, Carson City had a very liberal, I don't know if liberal's the word, but basically a non-existent chase policy. Since I got there, I've rewritten our entire policies, which would be the same policies that we enforce up here in Crystal. Our chase policy for ORVs, golf carts, cars, motorcycles, mopeds, horse carriages, there's a lot of those around here too, I don't think they can get up to 90 miles an hour, but, you know what I'm saying? So, we have, we don't chase for traffic. We don't. Some places still do in the county, we don't. They get the top 5 felonies, which is murder, rape, robbery, the active shooters, and severe threats to the community. But we're not gonna chase you if you decide to take off from us on a golf cart or on a 4x4 or a quad at 90 miles an hour because of what you just said. For a traffic offense, I am not gonna risk the lives of the citizens in Crystal or Carson or my guys if they're gonna go out just for a traffic offense. When I first got there, they were chasing for people that had no plate lights, right? The little light, they would chase for that down there. No, we do not do that. So to answer your question, if you take off running or somebody takes off, not you, but if somebody takes off running on a quad or a golf cart, and we can identify them and see them later, great. But we are not gonna risk the lives of the city or the township or the people on Crystal Lake. We're not gonna chase them out into the country roads. We're not, because it's just too dangerous for that. If that answers your question.
Yeah. Got one behind you there first, go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am, or sir, I'm
So-
sorry.
Me, so I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Owning the dispensary, I've heard you talk a lot about your disdain for drugs, and I know that Carson City is really against it. What is your stance gonna be on the 2 dispensaries that are here in Crystal?
As long as the dispensaries operate within the confines of the law, I have no problem with it.
What about, I'm talking about the community members that come in, because we're both we're constantly checked on by the state, so I'm not asking, are you gonna do the dispensaries?
Right,
What
because
are you gonna do for the customers that are pulling in and out?
as
I mean,
far
are you
as,
guys, are they gonna be targeted because they have a traffic stop? You know what I mean? what is your guys' stance?
okay, I think that, I see where you're going with this targeting part.
Yeah, what is your guys' stance on?
And let me
those?
just kind of reiterate this for you, all right? Or just explain this. When I got to Carson, the first thing that was told to me was, oh, so you're gonna be like the rest of the police that we've had in Carson, you guys are just gonna sit in the bar parking lot, wait for us to walk to the bar, or in your case, wait for them to walk out of the dispensary, right?
Correct.
I don't care if you go to the bar, I don't care if you go to the dispensary. The dispensaries are now legal, and they are governed very strictly by LARA and the state, right? So your business has to be set, or it's not gonna be open. And that's not even something that really we would do, That's the state that's gonna come in and shut you
And
down.
my concern was just the targeting of.
Yeah, no,
the
we don't,
community members that come in and
here's
visit
the
the
thing.
dispensaries.
We don't sit on bars. We don't sit on dispensaries. Well, we don't have any dispensaries in Carson, because they,
Right.
before they voted that down. We don't target people like that. I'm not gonna sit in a dispensary lot, or my guys are not gonna sit there, or one of your bar parking lots and be like, oh, Dave or Jimmy or Sue just got out of the bar, or they just got their weed.
Okay, that was my only
No, I'm not,
concern.
no. I mean, if you get out of a bar and you're drunk and you're driving down the road and we see you, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But we don't sit and target businesses. We don't do anything like that. That is not at all in the realm of what I preach to my guys, and that's it. Will we drive past your dispensary? Yes, we will. Yes.
Well, we totally invite you in, so.
Yeah, well, I will probably come visit you if we get the contract, cause I go visit all the owners, so. But yes, we don't target people for what they're doing at a dispensary or a bar. Or if you have a Legion up here, we don't do that either.
What's your younger guys you hire now?
What's that?
The guys that you're hiring, are they out to make a name for themselves, or?
So the guys, the officer that's left right now, he, has a year. I hired him right when I got there, so he has a year and something on. He's had 0 citizens complaints. He embraces the community aspect, and he's very effective at traffic stops. He's had no negative interactions. They're not trying to make names for themselves. That's why I told you kind of when I started this little spiel that we operate on a team concept. You understand what I'm saying? So it sounds stupid, but there's no I in team, right? So my guys they're not out here to try to be like, I made so-and-so many arrests. I got so-and-so this many times. I did this, I did that. Everything we've done in Carson, and you can talk to the citizens in Carson, because I'm sure you all know people down there. We're not glory hounds. We're not, none of that. And the 3 guys that I have lined up to come on the department, one of them has 13 years as a police officer. He worked in Battle Creek, and Lansing Township. Another one is, he did a year in Detroit and worked for the Wayne County Airport. And he is also, they're both very mature. I'm trying to avoid in Carson City of hiring people directly out of the academy. So that's why I said you get a more level-headed, well-rounded police department. Carson City's not sending people to the academy. If you wanna be a police officer, you apply to us and you have experience and you have made a name for yourself in the law enforcement community. So we're not trying to hire people that are brand new, I started in Detroit in 1996. When I first started in Detroit, I was super gung-ho. I know what you're talking about, right? And yeah, we're not doing that. And really, the policing style that we've adopted, even though it's a more aggressive approach to traffic and stuff like that, it doesn't set you up to be a glory hound, because you work as a team.
That's our biggest complaint, the phone calls I'm getting, cause like I told you, Carson's had a bad name for cops.
And that's why I just explained what I
Right.
explained.
And, we got new owners at the racetrack.
Yep.
Right.
We don't need some, the county's been doing all right on all these jobs, but we don't need someone to come in here and,
Yeah.
hey, cause probably 80% of the people leave the racetracks had a couple beers and.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, I got a daughter that's got a wedding barn out by my whole church. And,
Oh, okay, I know where that's at. Yeah, so part of the whole community policing thing, and part of the proactive patrolling thing, is to know the area that you work, and to know the people that you serve, and to know the people that you protect, right? So out of the 569 traffic stops that we did in the city last year, we had 2 drunk driving arrests, that was it. And we wrote maybe 20 tickets. So our stops are mostly more of an education thing. Cause let's be honest, the economy's not that great. If you're going 5 over and I can explain to you, hey, this is why you're going 5 over, we don't really wanna hit your pocketbook for that. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you if I pull you over 9 or 10 times, you're going 5 over, you're probably gonna get a ticket, right? But we could get further just kind of talking to people right off the bat. And if you got the new owner coming in the racetrack, we would go up and meet them, talk to them, see what their expectations are. Any phone calls that you would get, anybody on the board that would get, that would deal with the police, I mean, obviously you would talk to them as board members, but then obviously 100% route them to me, and I will deal with that, which is the same thing that we dealt with when I first got to Carson, because they were not used, like you said, the Carson Police Department had issues or whatever, and the first couple months I was there, we had a lot of people calling because our traffic stops were way up, and they were seeing us on the road a lot. And once I explained to them what we were doing, and once they knew that it was not a targeting thing or anything like that, all that has subsided. Since I've been there, we have not taken one actual citizen's complaint that was a valid citizen's complaint. People were like, I got stopped, and I was like, well, why did you get stopped? Well, I did this, I was doing this, I didn't have this. And I'm like, those are valid reasons for a stop. Were my officers rude to you? Do you feel threatened in any way? No, 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 no. Thank you very much. I'll take it, you know what I mean? So there's ways to talk to people, and really it's all in the way you talk to people. It really is. 90% of police work is the way you communicate and the way you present yourself. It's not all running, gunning west between the houses like you see in the movies.
How many people do you have under you?
Yeah.
Right now, honestly, right now, the other 2 left, and we have 1 left. And then.
So you got 1 under you.
And I have 3 ready to come on right now. We're gonna be hiring at least 2 right away, and the 3rd one would come on based on how we go with this. So, yeah.
That would help just have communication with the people on the golf carts, because they just put their kids on them and say, go play.
Yes, that's not acceptable at all.
No.
I mean, especially if, from what I've heard about Crystal in the summer,
Yeah.
you guys have a traffic issue and top of a golf cart issue, and if you just send your 10-year-old or 12-year-old out to go play on the cool new beach you guys are building, which is pretty sweet, by the way. You know, that's even more detrimental, and it's almost as bad as the gentleman that was talking about the guy taking off going 90 miles an hour, because the kid's not gonna be in this attentive as an adult at all. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
You characterized your work experience 20-plus years in, I guess, high-density urban areas.
Yes.
Prior to being in your professional experience, what's your experience like high-density urban? Did you grow up high-density urban, rural, kind of urban?
So I grew up in the city of Trenton, which is, they call it downriver because it's downriver from Detroit.
I wasn't asking specifics like the
No,
town,
no,
but.
well, what I'm getting at is, all right, so just a little bit more background, just so you know where I'm coming from. So I went to Grand Valley. When I graduated and got out of there and got out of school, I got hired by Hudsonville Police Department, which I don't know where that's at, but it's about the size of Carson, I'm not gonna lie. And I started there working there part-time, and they were like, the chief was like, we're hiring you full-time, and I was like, absolutely not, I'm going to the big city. All I ever wanted to do, honestly, when I first got on the job, was to be a big city cop. I applied to Detroit, New York, LA, San Diego, all these big cities, ended up back in Detroit, where I grew up, basically, right? I did my time in Detroit. I like the rural areas. I like camping. I like outdoor stuff, deer hunting, fishing. When I saw the job at Carson, I was like, I could be the chief of police. I ran a 15-man ops team for years. And I applied, and here I am.
Thank you.
So, yeah, but I do love the smaller community. I like the whole way it feels. I mean, you get the same feel in a big city to a point with the community groups and stuff, but a smaller community like Crystal and Carson, you get to be more involved and know the people you're actually working with on a daily basis. And I like to, I like going to the sporting events. I like going to the high school stuff. I'm gonna love coming up here in the summer with the lake, honestly, not gonna lie. So, yeah.
Most officers do.
I'm sure. It's not really what I was getting at.
No,
Just
okay.
saying. I'm just saying. But
Anybody
yeah,
else got a
so I hope
question
that
for
answers
him?
what you're talking about.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions? Concerns? Anybody on the board, anything? Nothing? No. All right, I'm gonna stick around till the end. If you guys come up with something, I'll be here. I have some cards, if you'd like one of my business cards when you get out, and my department cell phone is on there, if you come up with something after the meeting, feel free to give me a call. All right? Thank you very much for your time, I'll be here until the end.
Okay, that moves us down to Twisted Sisters medical license. She's gonna let her medical go.
Just so everybody knows, the reason that I'm letting my med go, and I did sell, I'm having some severe, health issues that need to be addressed. So, I can no longer be available. So I'm getting really sick.
So she's got a buyer for it, but we gotta, first of all, we gotta, the lawyer, we've gotta have her sign a paper on her medical. She's already did her legal work back to the lawyer, answer him for medical, but we've gotta have her sign a paper now stating, you know, if something happened that fell through and down the road, she can't come back and say, hey, you guys forced me into, I want to try to get my medical back, so.
Right.
Other than that, that's that part of it.
Yeah, there was no enforcement on the,
Right.
on the township.
And, she's got, like I said, she's got a buyer. They wanna, like you heard her say, she's got some medical problems, she kinda like to try to move things along a little faster. So our marijuana window is normally 120 days.
Originally it was 120.
But we gave you a break on it when you got
You
it.
did, and just to kind of let the community know, so what the state allows is the state allows for another company to come in and buy all of my assets and transfer everything over. So they don't have to go through the rigorous stuff that I had to go through the first time, so it's not a 6 or 7 month deal. It's as fast as them approving it, them submitting their paperwork, and it's a done deal. So, it's not something that's complicated.
He has that, isn't he?
Yes, I'm stepping away. I need to for health reasons. I'm no
And
longer
that's what
living
the
in it.
attorney gave us, was this for her to release.
Correct.
And then the attorney indicates what we would need to do is open a window period to accept applications for anyone that wants, because we would have a license available.
Okay.
And I start going through, I have a colonoscopy Friday, and then I start going through surgeries after that. So I would really kind of like to get this wrapped up, just in case anything happens.
I have a problem with us pushing things through, we're pushing things through constantly with this.
Well, the state already allows it though. You're not doing
I
anything
guess-
that the CRA doesn't already
Okay,
allow.
can let me speak, this is the board, you're the public.
I guess I don't, if it was a new business, I could see it, but it's a business just more or less changing hands.
Has the lawyer looked at that though, that's what I'm asking, I know he's
The lawyer
drafted
indicated we
this
could,
letter.
and the lawyer indicated we could have the window period for as long as we wanted. The original one was 120 days. He recommends that 30 days is a good, fair number, because, you know, there is someone that's interested in purchasing hers, but we have to be careful to not do a window period such as they're the only ones that could apply.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? We can't
Yeah, we've been warned about
make
that
it
before. I
appear that
know
we
that.
only want this person to apply.
If it's open, it's open.
It's
Right,
open to
open
everybody.
for 30
So we
days.
have to have a
and-
Well,
window open.
But now Sand Lake has done where they had new standard come in that's in there in Sand Lake, and they only did a week. And they did that because it was a business replacing another business.
I
So
don't
no,
believe
nobody
that's
else is
in our
gonna come in
ordinance.
and get my building.
That's not in our ordinance, and I would not feel comfortable without directly speaking with the attorney about something that could affect so many people and so many dollars.
They're still gonna, even with this going through, there's still gonna be a license available.
Correct.
And we're gonna open a window.
Right.
And
Well-
follow our guidelines. of
On
opening
the
a
other window? I think the last board meeting, we decided not to just set on it for a while.
Right, 'cause we didn't have any,
Information.
yeah,
Right, and there still ain't really in that one.
yeah.
Well, there would be, but then she's gonna be giving one up.
The one that she's giving up is the one that's available. It's the
Yeah,
only one that's
but it'll be a
available.
recreational and then,
It could be anything.
right.
could be anything, and then-
Recreational, medical, or,
When he is approved and everything is closed down, I will then give up my recreational
Right.
license with Crystal. So then there will still be one license available. I have two. I just gave up one.
I would like to propose we open a window period, and I would like to, what's today? Today's the 8th, so I'm gonna say put it out 10 days, open it 10 days from today, so that'd be the 18th, and my calendar. And the only reason I'm saying that, so it's time for us to get it published, and then open it for a 30-day period, to allow applications. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
motion by Patty to get it listed by the 18th for 30 days, seconded by Nancy. Any more discussion? You wanna say so?
At some point, I would like to have an appointment with us and the attorney, so we can all get on the same page with this.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, all opposed? Motion carried.
And the gentleman is here too. I think that he would like to say a couple of things about
Okay.
him coming in.
Public comment time, maybe? We're
Okay.
still conducting the board meeting? Thank you.
It moves down to Metro permit application from CMS.
Seems pretty upfront to me after I asked several questions. So I don't know if there's anything we need to add.
I think we can do a motion, don't we? We should do a motion to
I think we
approve the
need to.
application for
Okay.
Metro from that.
Sure,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote on that, or?
Sure I will. No, or Johnson?
Yes,
Kurt?
Yes.
yeah, I do it all the time.
Pat, yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of that. The website.
In your packet are things that I believe are kind of priorities for us to have on the website, including our FOIA guidelines and our DDA information, as well as some that would be optimal for later. I would like the okay to put the DDA and the FOIA information onto the website.
You're working with the DEA to get everything in.
I will work with David to get what is from there. I believe it's probably TIF stuff and your original. And FOIA would be the guidelines that you run by, but just to get them out to people that here they are.
Get a motion on that, do we?
Can I have a motion to put?
Sure. I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carried. Resolutions. Guideline for property exemption.
I make a motion that we approve the guideline resolution for property exemption for the tax year. And they're based on the federal standards.
I will second that motion.
Motion by Patty, seconded by Sarah to accept the guidelines for property exemption. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Protest for the BOR in writing.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to allow local residents to protest board of review in writing. As presented.
Motion by Patty, second by Sarah to accept the protest for the board of review in writing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Need to adopt an order start date for the board of review.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the alternate start date.
I'll second it.
Motion by Nancy, and seconded by Patty to, okay, the board review dates as they were. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we need to have a motion to waive the interest and penalties for taxes, right, to the end of February?
Correct. Between February 15th and February 28th, which is the last day I can collect taxes in the township, is February 28th.
I'll make a motion to support the resolution.
I'll second it. Motion by Patty, second by me to waive the interest on property taxes from the 15th to the end of February. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Publication of minutes.
We've been notified that we need to publish our minutes in the Daily News. So I guess I'll make a motion that we appointed the Daily News as our publication and records.
I'll second that.
Motion by Patty, second by Sarah to make our publication of our board meeting minutes to the Daily News. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That puts us down, the Lions Club gave us a thing.
They called today, they would like to do some work out at Nell Park, fixing the basketball hoop, putting some cement around that area and working on the pavilion. So they wanted some approval to do that.
Make a motion to give them a full, I'm sorry, did you have a?
Andy Rook said this fall before he went to Arizona, that maybe you guys would even be interested too. We got some playground equipment, and maybe you'd help set that up, or do, you think you'd be interested in doing that too?
Possibility.
Okay.
Let's get this one under our belt first.
Okay.
But, yeah, we've got a couple of, local businesses that are also interested in helping us out with the basketball area, because that's a mess.
Okay.
I'll second Nancy's motion.
Motion by Nancy, second by Patty, to let the Lions Club do the work. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Okay,
carried.
One more thing before we go to the Lions Club. My wife has this idea of doing a dog park somewhere. And, she's trying to push the Lions Club to pick up that as a project also. So think about that, and where that might be able to be done, maybe able to be done at Mill Park. But, so this is, you know, if you're on, the Crystal page a lot, there's a whole lot of stuff going on about dogs in there. We thought, gosh, maybe we wouldn't have as many problems with dogs if we had a nice dog park for people to use.
The other thing I want to mention real quick before you go to public comment is cleanup day, spring cleanup, April 15th, 8 to noon at Nell Park.
Okay, that brings us down to public comment. Kim,
Can I just add one question about the marijuana thing? So,
as long as you're over 3 minutes.
so she's keeping the recreational, so does that mean that somebody else can come in and set up a third shop?
Yep.
For the medical? So they
But
won't,
that license, after her medical's through the system, it could just be a license, it could be another recreational,
or could they even still go into the same building? Two owners, or no?
No, only one owner in my building's the only one available.
Okay, so that does leave for a third.
Okay. Interested?
No. No.
The only thing I've got against putting it in paper is that I don't get all the paper. All I get is on a computer, and they don't give the full article.
Can I respond to that?
Yep, go ahead.
I'm with the Daily News.
Yep.
And any meeting minutes the township pays to publish in our paper.
They
you subscribe or not, just go to our website, thedailynews.cc, and there's a little thing that says public notices.
Are you gonna have a person coming to every board meeting again, are you?
Yeah, we try. We
I
have
know.
20 townships to cover.
Oh.
We wish we still had Brandon with us.
Okay. Anybody else, public comment? Go ahead.
Okay, the last time I talked at the board, I was talking about zoning information, and I was wrong. Montcalm Township has a very comprehensive zoning law, but the county of Montcalm has a junk and rubbish ordinance.
Yeah, and this is the one they're discussing right now.
Okay, and they were also talking about making some changes, but in case you didn't know that, my question to the board before, if it's for the Montcalm County, does that cover coastal township or not? And I don't know.
Well, I can tell you right now that the advisement from your boss, basically, I'm at the deputy right here, his boss, our sheriff, Mike Williams, said, fill out a blight complaint or call him and he'll do it, and that's the nuisance. That's as much as I know.
Would those be the guidelines? Because those guidelines are basically talking about junk cars,
Yep.
junk things in the yard, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So that.
They enforce the county ordinance.
Okay, so we can have those things addressed through the county.
Yep.
Them brought in the county. Okay, but Montcalm Township has a very comprehensive zoning, which talks about what areas for business, what areas for agriculture, what area is this, which people think that is, they get confused, zoning and blight.
Yep.
And I think that, Montcalm County is talking about a blight ordinance too.
Yes.
They have enforced it there. They have enforced it here.
And they are changing them.
Okay.
Because our one great commissioner up there says, their lawyer says it can't be enforced. But Mike Williams has told us until he gets shut down by the magistrate or he's gonna enforce it. But then in the paper the other day, it did say they're wanting to spend the money and come up with a new one. But it don't really make much sense, or they wanna come up with a new one, but then they want the townships to adopt it.
They wanna come up with a template, and then if the townships want to, they can adopt it.
Right.
It's optional.
Well, why don't they just enforce the county?
Right.
The sheriff says he is.
Yeah, he is. He told us he was gonna still enforce. So if you got a complaint, just fill out a paper. Anybody else?
Is it okay for
Yep,
me to
yep,
introduce myself?
yep.
I'll be quick and get out of here. I gotta stand up,
It's
I
been a long
can't feel my
morning.
10 minutes. My name's Daryl, I'm the guy going by Jackie's place. Little bit of background, I come from manufacturing. What I build is 6,000-pound mobile home axles. The mobile homes going up and down the road, I build those axles, that's what I do. I got about 650 people that work for me right now. I've been doing this 39 years, I've owned my own company 30 years. We own company BE in Cassopolis. We started out with 2 people, we employ about 40 people now. Our security is our local police. We hire our local police to be our security. We'll have security in the dispensary. It won't be a run wild, pothead environment. I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna put up with that. We're here to build a professional business for you. We'll remodel the building. First thing we'll do is we'll remodel the building. It'll be something presentable for your town. It'll be something worth driving by and see. I've got an open door policy. Anybody can come in there. I don't care who you are, as long as you're of age. Come in, check us out, see what we do. It's a little more to it, how we run our company, than the stigma that's around. So please, any questions, anything you want from us, call us. I'll leave some cards here on the desk. Come and look at us at Cassopolis. Drive down and see us. We'll take you through the whole place. We got nothing to hide. We're in it for the money. I mean, I won't lie. I don't need to practice. I work all the time. So guys, anything you wanna know, please don't hesitate to ask us.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from West Virginia, and I moved up here I live in Elkhart, Indiana, where I live. And I moved up here when I wasn't quite 19, looking for a job. I started fixing flat tires and filling out horse stalls every night. So I understand what it's like to work. I have a real good definition of work. And if you're not willing to work hard around me, that's okay, I understand, but stay home. I don't wanna waste anybody's time. So we're here to work and make something for your town that's presentable. And I do understand the terminology summer crowd, because in Cassopolis, Michigan, we're on Diamond Lake. And I don't wanna name any big cities or anything, because he's a pretty big guy, I don't wanna piss him off. But we get the Chicago crowd that comes in, and things can get a little out of the norm, for lack of better words. We wanna keep our place normal year-round. I'll do what I gotta do to do that for you.
They also have a grow too.
Yes, we've got to grow. I've got right now about 8,000 to 10,000 plants going all the time. You brought up the medical. The state of Michigan is leaning more and more toward the recreational. And you'll see that happening more and more, because if you look at the stats of Michigan versus the sales on taxes and such, the rec is taken over. But in Detroit, where you're from, it's a lot of, or medical, but you're seeing that rec come around more and more.
Yeah, when I left Detroit, a lot of them are not licensed.
I can take them.
Yeah, so as far as you go, come in my place anytime you want.
Absolutely.
And we got no problem with that. Hopefully you can put 3 or 4 guys in there to protect us.
I will give you a card.
But we won't overpay you. But, you know, we'll pay you for that.
So are you gonna grow on this facility then?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. We're just gonna have a dispensary. I bought property in 8 towns. And we're concentrating on the smaller towns, because where I grew up at, I knew everybody. I knew your grandpa, your grandma, your cousins. I mean, my dad was one phone call away from me being caught. So I understand it very well. And my 3 boys that I raised 3 boys for the last 10 years on my own. My boys will tell you, the old school has a meeting in my house. Yes,
You
ma'am.
be creating any new jobs at all?
Based on, today counts day 1. I've interviewed people here, and the first thing I've seen here is, I'm not mocking Jackie, because she's capable of shooting somebody. But the first thing I've noticed here is, there's a need for about 10 to 15 jobs here at this store. The first girl I talked to, single mom, can only work Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday evening. You know, nice girl though. I mean, she said all the right things, her eyes were clear, she wasn't high or anything, and that's what I want. You know, in my store, you better not be using any products. You better not be standing outside using any products. You better not be standing outside drinking. You better not be doing any of that, because this is my neck on the line, and I'm not willing to risk that. I just won't put up with it. I'm gonna dance around, it's just, I'm not putting up with it. But, we try to run a professional place, and we try to run a clean place. And like I said earlier, we will redo her whole building. The whole place will be redone. From ground to the roof and back. So, anything you guys need or want?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep. Good luck. Yeah.
When do you have to make a decision about the Carson City officer?
It'll probably be next board meeting or later than that. They haven't even gave us a price yet.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Patty, second by Nancy, adjourned at 9:07. Woo-hoo! All in favor, say aye.
Aye.